Bismillah. With regard to brotherhood and with regard to division.
Yes.
From my observation, from my understanding of the recent split, recent division that we've been experiencing, it tied back to the status of Sheikh Rabi and his ruling on particular individuals with regard to the splitting, especially on the East Coast. And it's split into basically one of two camps, from my observation, which were those who were in support of Sheikh Rabi, Salafi publication, and Sheikh Rabi, and other brothers who were not so much in support of it. From my first-hand experience, I've heard a lot of bad mouthing of Sheikh Rabi with regard to his age and mental capability. I personally don't agree with a lot of what people say about Sheikh Rabi. They said that he was going senile because of diabetes, he didn't eat sugar.
So what's your question?
My question,
I got the layout.
You got the
I'm
layout.
with you. Now what's your question?
the question is, with regard to this situation, what do you advise on this situation with regard to the splitting and with regard to honoring the status of the Sheikh? Jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalam ala Rasulil Kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'd. The question was asked about the recent splitting as it relates to Sheikh Rabi' ibn Hadi al-Madkhali حفظه الله تعالى وعفو عنه وسبب أخطاه ويبدل السيئات حسنة. Amen. We say, may Allah preserve him. May Allah pardon him for some of his mistakes or all of his mistakes and straighten out his affairs. Everyone has affairs that need to be straightened out from the human being, and that may Allah substitute his bad deeds, make them good deeds. I mean, this, first of all, for some it can be understood as a loaded question. And to be honest with you, I don't know what's considered the recent split. Because as in my talk at the beginning, we talked about brotherhood, I made certain references just to the history of North, East Orange, and it included Jersey City without me saying it, because the brothers came from Jersey City and moved to East Orange. And this goes back to the early 90s. When we didn't know anything about Sheikh Rabi'. Brothers say Sheikh Rabi'. No, it's Sheikh Rabi'. Some call him Sheikh Rabi' because this is English. So they're jacking up his name to begin with. Rabi', a little honest. You know, these names are from the Salaf, Tabi'in, Sahaba. So that's the first one. When he gets his name right. Rabi', not Rabi or Rabi'. And then, secondly, the issue goes beyond what we know even to be the fitnah that started in the 90s. Because the rule in Islam, and this is why our brother Abu Abdullah, may Allah bless him, some of the points he made is really for us to digest, not to feel like it's a good talk, it was fiery, and we go home and that's it. Or why did he say that? I feel some kind of way and go home and feel some kind of way. That's it. No, it's bigger than that. When we talk about the rules of Islam, it's a primary rule that when you talk about giving fatwa, and fatwa can be given by every scholar. There's certain scholars that still, they have not reached the level where they are qualified to get fatwa. Fatwa is not for laymen, it's not for a sheikh, it's not for necessarily a person who, the next level after Sheikh Alam, but fatwa is like at the top of the list. It's almost like a person went through a judge's program, a lawyer's program, a judge's program, and then before that, he did all the shake stuff. He's at the top of the list. Then there's a special training to be able to get to the level where you give question and answers of the religion. So why am I mentioning that? Because the fatwa that people understand, Sheikh Rabia said, way in Saudi Arabia, where he's not even, and I'm speaking from knowledge and experience and being fair. It's not because I don't like the sheikh. It's not because, I'm not with this camp. It's not like because I don't respect scholars. These are all of the highlights they mention when we talk about something they don't like concerning a scholar. No. I could feel personally some kind of way about Sheikh Rabia, personally. Because I'm part of the community that his thoughts will reach here in America, in East Orange, New Jersey, under the leadership of Abdullah Tawfiq Abu Muslim. I'm part of that community. We're still suffering from that right now. I'm part of the community in Damaj, after the death of Sheikh Mukbil, that affected the whole of Yemen, about Sheikh Yahya bin Ali al-Nur al-Hajuri. I'm part of the community that was rocked around the world for Muslims that ascribe to the dawah that our father Al-Albani and Bin Baz called us a Salafi. So personally, I could feel some kind of way. I'm making the point, but I'm not. I'm just speaking true facts. Sheikh Rabia, when he made the fatwa, in 1996, most people that's now on the scene, they was either not Muslim, just being straight, or if they were Muslim, they were Tablighi or Shia, African Americans, or they was in a joint, or they were Kuffar. They weren't around. They don't know the history. That's why I went back to Branford Place, because Branford Place precedes all of those masajid and communities. So when the Sheikh made that fatwa, and we're talking about the current fitnah, that's why I'm going back. Our first knowing about Sheikh Rabia has to do with us here in East Orange.
No.
We later found out more about him when we went to Yemen and Egypt and so forth. So in East Orange, because an African American was a man who was in charge after Dawood D, because number one, Dawood was the one who brought Abu Muslim. Dawood was the one who brought Sheikh Ahmed Abdullah Abu Uwais. Dawood was the one who brought Abu Osama Abdul Rahman Khalifa al-Dahabi. Dawood was the one who brought Abdul Jalil, who was known for Back to the Basics, or Williamsport. Dawood Adib was the one who brought all of these people together to build a community upon Salafi. That's the first thing. People know that. And the brothers, and I'm not afraid to speak the truth. I will talk about them. I sometimes speak good about them, but I have a right to be upset. When we talk about Abu Hassan Malik, who was a kid when we were in Damaj. You understand me? I'm 57. Him and Hassan al-Somali, they were kids in their 20s when we were in Damaj, during time Sheikh Mukbil. When Dawood was the Imam and Abu Muslim preceded him and became the Imam, all of them learned from Abu Muslim. Aqidatan, Aqidah. Manhajan, Lughatan, all of that they learned from Abu Muslim. So when the fitnah came out, because now he has what, and I mean, it was cocky, but Islamic Center of America, nobody like that. The Arabs, the Africans, the Asians, including the Negro. Well, who did he think he is? Not just Masjid Ahlul Sunnah, but the Islamic Center of America? What's the problem? So when they went to Sheikh Rabia, they said there's a man in America, he says that the major scholars of Saudi Arabia are not known to be Salafi, they are known to be Hanbali, which is the plural of Hanbali. They're known to be scholars of the Hanbali fiqh. Now I ask you, and all those people that want to talk about the divide and who's on and off it, what's the court system in Saudi Arabia? What's the court system in Kuwait? What's the court system in Bahrain? What's the court system in Qatar? The Hanbali fiqh. When Al-Albani made that statement back in the 80s, nobody challenged him, nobody said anything. Why? Because he's Al-Albani. His mistakes that he made is greater than some people's correction and the contribution that they made to Islam in Al-Albani. So of course nobody said nothing. Well, then Abu Muslim tried to copy that statement because of their lack of knowledge, because of them waiting for something to say, okay, we got him now. They took that to Sheikh Rabia. Sheikh Rabia became upset. Who is he? The first thing he asked, who pays his salary? What they have to do with the question? And again, the rule Islamically, you cannot take a fatwa from one place and import it to another place. During the time of Sheikh Muqbil, during the time of Sheikh Muhammad Salih al-Uthaymeen, people used to ask for tawbah, and they wouldn't always answer. They would tell them, Allahu A'lam, Allahu A'lam, until someone went to that place and seen for themselves, or someone credible was sent to investigate and come back. Then they would make a fatwa.
Okay, so...
No, patience, just stay with me. So we're talking about the rules of fatwa. When they went to him and told this man, he says this about the scholars of Saudi Arabia, they're not known to be major scholars upon Salafiyah, they're known to be Hanbali. Well, they are known to be Hanbali in fiqh. They could be Salafi in Aqidah, but the fiqh is known. It's a Hanbali fiqh, which is nothing wrong with it. So when he heard that, then they started saying he has so-and-so comes to his masjid. Again, I think you can't, if someone comes to somebody's masjid for dawah, I mean, so what? And this man was known to be somebody of sunnah. But because they said he's ikhwani, the person comes to his masjid, he's takfiri, then the sheikh said, okay, bring him. So they set him up, brought him on Hajj the next year. And the students that conjured this thing up, they said, we're going to prove to you when you come for Hajj next year that you're not Salafi. I was there, the argument in the park up in West Orange. They argued about Sheikh Abdul Rahman Khalid. Many people might even know who he is. Because Sheikh Rabia criticized him, and Al-Albani praised him. This is, I mean, and you're talking about students that's in the first year of the Arabic language. You're not even supposed to touch issues, difference of opinion, rulings. A first year Arabic student. So they went to Sheikh Rabia, they set this thing up, and when Abu Muslim went on Hajj the next year, they kicked them up, which was normally the norm. And they go visit people, knowledgeable at their houses. Well, they went to Sheikh Rabia's house, you didn't know. They had students there, and they asked them, the Sheikh asked for a translator, did you say the major scholars of Arabia are not known to be Salafi and Hanbali? Abu Muslim said no. Allahu A'lam if he lied because he was afraid, he felt some fitnah about to happen. Allahu A'lam if he said no because he changed his mind, he didn't believe that anymore. Allahu A'lam if he said no because he forgot, but he said no. The Sheikh, he said, what did he say? They played the tape in English, his doubts in the masjid, when he made this speech. He stopped and the Sheikh said, what did he say? But it's in English. Shabir, he said, what did he say? The student said, he said to you, Sheikh, he said on tape what he said to you that he didn't say. The Sheikh, he said, Anta Hizbi Kadab. Hizbi Kadab. Hizbi means you're outside the Sunnah. Kadab, you're a liar. Aduwwali hadhihi da'wah. You are an enemy to this da'wah. The people jumped up. They said the Sheikh Kufi went sideways, they had to grab him. Of course, I'm a Muslim, he's a man.
I'm sorry I didn't laugh because it's a shit.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
You can laugh. He's a human out here. So when they broke everything up, then the Sheikh calmed down a little bit. He said, I'm sorry, I'm Muslim. He said, get off of me. Because he wanted to grab the Sheikh, he wanted to grab a Muslim hand. He snatched away. I said, oh, look, he's being disrespected. Look, man, you just called the man a hizbi. Kept down. I do what is dawah. You ask who pays his salary. We're going to stop from being paid. That's the origin of this fitnah that we're dealing with to this day in America.
The origin that I understand.
No, not what you understand. You asked me. I'm giving you a reply. I was there.
What about my?
I'm from there. So that's the origin. Now, whatever they're talking about now, the Sheikh is senile, he has sugar. I mean, I think if he's senile, has sugar, that happens. If he's not senile and has sugar, there have people in the chain of hadith. His hadith is taken, but then in his latter part of his age, he becomes senile. So they said the hadith in the early part of his age, when he was competent, is sahih. The hadith later on, when he goes senile, you can't take it. So that can be true, but that's not saying they disrespected the Sheikh. How could they say about the Sheikh? This is the glue that all of the ulama warned against. This is the glue, that he's attacking us. I mean, what are you talking about? Sheikh Mukbir died from a parasite, ate his liver up. If somebody says that they're attacking Sheikh Mukbir, Sheikh Uthaymeen died from cancer. He was here in Boston getting chemo. If somebody says they're attacking Sheikh Uthaymeen, what is this except what the Prophet said? Be afraid, and I warn you of being glue. Being extreme with your righteous. The brothers, they went on Omar and take a picture of the sandals. Sit in the back, look at the Sheikh's sandals. I mean, what is this? This borderline shirt, I think. He's a man. He's a man, I think. And he's a man who made a lot of fitnah. They took the whole Yemen off the Manhattan. No. Excuse me. I said he made a lot of fitnah. And Hajuri made a lot of fitnah too.
It goes back.
No. But you asked the question so you could get an answer, or you want something else?
Then you gave me the answer.
No, but I didn't. You cut me off. I'm not finished. I just told you the Hajuri. He's Khalifa Mukbir. He's our Sheikh. But guess what? He calls it out a fitnah. Am I attacking my own Sheikh? From the etiquette of the Sheikh with the student, you don't attack your Sheikh. So I can't say Al-Hajuri, he's a muqtadi. I can say he has mistakes. I can say the good he brought out, the Sheikh Mukbil died. I mean, it happened. What happened to Imam Bukhari and his Sheikh Muhammad? His Sheikh was asked, can we go take knowledge from Bukhari? He said, I encourage you. He's young, he's hafiz, he's this, he's that, he's passed the test. But the Sheikh didn't know his students was going to go to Bukhari and not come back to him. When that happened, he plotted against Bukhari. Now all of a sudden Bukhari, he views the Quran as created. And these are human issues. And that's why in my talk about brotherhood, I talked about the pillars of Kufr. How the Shaitan uses that to break up the brotherhood. And what is more of a destruction of brotherhood than now you have shuyukh breaking up the very people that's supposed to be their children, the very people that's supposed to go to them for knowledge? But we don't want to hear that. It's, well, what about? No, I think it is what it is.
You didn't mention Makafi.
I don't have to mention that because guess what? That wasn't even here in America.
That wasn't.
No, excuse me. My brother never came here. The brothers used that to make fitnah here. People didn't even know who Mount Ruby was in America. We know in Yemen, we know in Egypt, we know in the Emirates. But we talking about some crap, that people made up, Nobody knew about a Mount Ruby here in America, The brothers brought that here. Even when Abu Wace was alive, he said, why y'all want to check this out? Since you talking. When Abu Wace was alive, they wanted him to make a bayan. Man, Abu Wace brought all the cats to the dawah. Hassan Somali, Bilal Davis, all of them. They wanted to know, excuse me. They wanted him to make a bayan. If you don't make a bayan, you are straight. First of all, the Salaf didn't use bayan like that when somebody wants you to clarify something. They use bayan when they themselves realized they were wrong. So he said, what I need to make bayan for? It's enough that the man is there with on the man they criticize. That's admirable ways, Akeem. So they bogusly brought that issue to our people in America. Nobody knew about a Maghribi, and we still don't care about him. We didn't take from him. We didn't know who he was. Most people didn't know who he was until they made that issue public and said, "Oh, Maghribi, Maghribi, Maghribi." It's a game, Akeem. It's a game. Wallahi. And if we keep doing this and don't do what Naeem said in his advice, or what other people have said in their advice, or what I said in my advice, we ain't gonna never go nowhere, Akeem. That stuff happened, it was bogus, and the proof it wasn't from the way of the Salaf. Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah, he said, Ahlul Sunnah, arham nas li khalq. The people of the Sunnah, they're the most merciful to the creation. Do we see that as mercy?
Sheikh Al-Albani declared, and he said specifically, clearly, that the holder of the banner of Jahwat Hadid is who?
Let me tell you, Akhi, do you know Arabic? Do you know Arabic? Do you know Arabic?
Maybe not.
No, okay, no, it's not maybe. No, maybe not. To talk about those issues, you got to know Arabic. Because you got to go into the books where that stuff is explained. Don't tell me what Sheikh Al-Albani mentioned about one man. Do you know the context of that statement?
These are the major scholars.
Akhi, do you know the... Akhi, let me finish. I got this. The Jawad Ta'dil Imam, first of all, that was only meant to be for the books. That's the first thing. Sheikh Al-Albani, when you mentioned that, I think this is the ilm. Y'all stop interjecting.
No, it's not.
When Sheikh Rabi'a, that was mentioned by Al-Albani, that was mentioned from the perspective of books.
Y'all ain't in the man finish.
That was from the. He was. Excuse me, brother. Akhi, respect knowledge, Akhi. You ask me something. No, you're not. Akhi, excuse me. Sheikh Al-Albani mentioned that statement about Rabi'a, but he didn't just mention about Rabi'a. If you want to know about that, he mentioned about Sheikh Mukbil too. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about it. He mentioned them in the same statement. Nobody talks about that. But when he mentioned that about Sheikh Rabi'a, he was talking about in the books of going checking the chain and criticizing the people in the chain. That's the origin of Jawad Ta'dil. That, excuse me, I'm telling you the context, I hate. You ain't talking to no janitor, man. You talking to somebody who know. I'm explaining to you. The context of that is from the books, I think. Because some ulama say there's no Jawad Ta'dil after the people in the chain died. So the people in the chain died, then how is somebody imam of something that don't exist no more? Some people take that position. That was the position of Sheikh bin Baz. That there's no more Jawad Ta'dil after the people in the chain died. And Sheikh Fawzan takes that position. So what Sheikh Al-Albani meant was in the books. That's where Sheikh Rabi'a became known for scholarship in hadith. In the books, checking the chains. That's how he became known when he talked about saying Qutb from the books. Not the people who are alive and dealing with people's affairs, the people's community. He went too far with that, I think. And that's not disrespecting, that's talking to haq.
That's disrespectful.
Okay, then if that's disrespecting, then let it be disrespect. It's not disrespect. You ask the question, getting the answer, now it's disrespect. What kind of Islam is that, I think? Y'all want to worship a man. That's the problem, I think. Y'all want to worship a man. And guess what? While you said it about Sheikh Rabi'a, what does he say about y'all in America? He don't even answer the call from America no more because he realized the fitnah that the brothers made here. They don't even answer the calls no more. Even his son, Muhammad, they don't take no calls from those brothers from Salafi publications in America, in Great Britain, in Canada, because they realize the fitnah. Now put that in the pipe and smoke it.
Oh, it's put there. This is why I can't go back and forth.
You don't have the knowledge, first of all. The etiquette is you ask and you receive. If you don't agree, let bats. But you're not asking and you go back and forth, well, so-and-so said. I think you're talking about people who was in Yemen peeing green stuff out there. Our face skinny like we on crack and cancer, seeking an enemy. You want to debate something?
Well, may Allah reward you.
No, it's a reality, I think. Then we talk about Sheikh Rabia. We still suffer from that fitnah, I think. And we think a man can't make fitnah? He's better than Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, who slayed Sahaba and made fitnah, but he was a leader.
No, Sheikh Rabi didn't create the fitness.
I think, listen, part of being an island is that you don't fall into fitnah with people who are common folk. Common folk took that to him. People who didn't even graduate with an 8th grade education. People that was felons out of prison went, yeah, Sheikh, mashallah. I think that's not the character of an island. He's an alim, but he dropped the ball, I think. And it ain't just with this issue, it's many issues. Again, they took the whole Yemen off the manhaj. How you do that? All them Tulab, they became ulama from Sheikh Mukbil. You take the whole Yemen off the manhaj, I think. You can't tell me nothing, I think. I got people that shed blood over this issue. You want to talk about another man and respect, I think? I got brothers that cried my dog wet because they took his wife, convinced her he's a muqtadi and you Salafiyya, then you got to get a khula. What you talking about, Aki? This is real. Them same people they talking about, Shadid and Abu Osama, guess what? They were with them at one time. Overnight they became the enemy. Muqtadi don't take from. You got to be kidding me, Aki. And this is why the brotherhood is in critical condition. And that is why it's in critical condition.
I wanted to see where we were at.
No, this is where we at, I think. In critical condition. And guess what? When Sheikh Rabia died, because we so miskin as African Americans, still suffering from the plague of slavery, the fitnah gonna still be alive like the Sheikh alive. That's how Taliban we are. May Allah forgive us. May Allah heal us. May Allah make us turn to Him. Because this is shirk. This is shirk. To put a man on a pedestal is shirk. It is a'udhu billah. It's shirk. Now go to them same books that they talk, Kitab al-Tawheed, and see the evidence is there. It's shirk. When you make a man that great, and that man makes something that's haram, halal, and you go with it, it's shirk. Learn your deen, akhi. Salam alaikum. The conversation's over. At least some people got some benefit out of that 50.